Staten Island political leaders have scored a victory in court with the city in the battle over the housing of migrants.
A judge ruled the city must remove migrants from the shelter it created at St. John Villa Academy.
So that site, in case you don't know, in the heart of a mostly residential neighborhood, has been the site of protests for several weeks now. One of the leaders who sued the city is Staten Island Borough President Vito, and he is joining us now with the very latest. Good morning to you.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for taking the time to talk to us. I mean, obviously you're going to take the W on this one, but it's not necessarily over, right? I mean, what do you take? What's your take, though, on the city appeal?
Well, thank you for shining a light on this subject that has, given a lot of stress to a lot of folks in this case, the Arikar section of Staten Island. For those who may not know, it's, as you mentioned, a solid residential neighborhood right across the street from a school, an old girls Catholic high school, and 2 elementary schools. So it's the worst place for a migrant shelter. And that's why we sued. But the important thing about the ruling is it calls into question not just this site, but the whole concept of the so-called right to shelter that the city has been following for almost a year. And what we said last year around this time was that policy is unsustainable, because what it means, or what those who have followed it means, is that if you come here from wherever around the world, that the city would put you up for free, would feed you for free, and do everything associated with that. And what was about a $500 million price tag last year is now growing.
Yeah.
The latest numbers, they say, are $12 billion. So it calls into question and says that right to shelter doesn't exist anywhere. And in addition, what the judge found, Judge Ozzie, and we give him a lot of credit for doing it, was to highlight that this so-called emergency really isn't an emergency, because there are a lot of things that could have been done during the past year to solve the problem, and none of that was done. So yes, it was we won the battle, but as you mentioned, the sort of, I hate to say the word war, but that sort of continues to exist.
Yeah, and what's your conversation now with Mayor Adams, right? Because he has been pretty outspoken with taking a look at the right to shelter, whether or not it should really apply right now. And in fact, the mayor wants to exclude migrants from the city's right to shelter law. And the Judge Ozzie, in your lawsuit, said the law should not apply to migrants. So what's your take on all of it?
It's a very good point. I mean, the city, ironically, yesterday was in court arguing that the right to shelter, as it is applied, should not, should be modified, not totally abolished, if I'm not mistaken. So in a way, our argument is that the city should use Judge Ozzie's decision as an opportunity to say, you see, we can't afford this. Because the logical extension of this, folks, is if 1 million people came to New York City today and said, we expect you to put us up for free, there are those who say, yes, the right to shelter consent decree applies. And we would say, absolutely not. That's insane. The city would go bankrupt in a day. And that's why this is an opportunity to seize, as opposed to perhaps reflexively say, we disagree with that decision, we will appeal, and we'll stay, and people will continue to be able to live there.
Could we have avoided this whole thing, or at least your area avoided this whole thing, had the city followed the protocol and held a public hearing?
At a minimum, I think this, as I say, we went after this location, and there are others. There's a place called in Midland Beach where they, it was an assisted living facility this time last year, and seniors were asked to leave. And now they're putting migrants in Midland Beach, which we think is wrong too. But this was the wrong place. So, but I want to reemphasize that the judge's ruling talks to the whole situation. And and there are those who say, hey, you got to pass comprehensive reforms in government at the federal level, which I agree. That's necessary. But let's say, for the sake of argument, the speed limit on the New York Thruway was reduced to 40 miles an hour, and people were going 50 and complaining. You can't just argue that, hey, you should have raised the speed limit. Until and unless that speed limit is raised, you have to comply with the rules of the road. And that's what migrants and from people around the world are basically avoiding.
So again, let me just go back to the relationship with the mayor, because I don't know if the mayor and you are totally disagreeing, because it sounds like in a lot of these cases you're talking about the same thing, and the mayor is saying he's choosing these locations because he's out of options and there's nothing left on the table besides a bad option. So what is your conversations with the mayor about the whole situation?
Well, I won't get into my private conversations with the mayor, but what we said very publicly is that, and when we say for a year, which is why this ruling, I keep getting back to this ruling, the right to shelter does not mean that if you come and arrive in New York City that we have to put you up for free. Now, initially, if you remember last year at this time, there were asylum seekers, people coming from Venezuela, escaping communism or socialism, right? Now people are coming from all over the world because they want to seek a better economic opportunity, which I don't blame them, by the way, for that. But when they come here, they shouldn't say, hey, where's my hotel room? And I expect to get 3 meals a day. We can't afford that. It's not fair to people. And that's what we've been arguing from day one, that it's unsustainable. And we hope that the city leaders recognize that and say, enough is enough. When you open the border with Mexico and allow anybody and everybody to come here and come to New York City and say, we expect to stay at a hotel in Midtown or a converted school on Staten Island, and we expect Staten Island taxpayers to pay for it, it's not fair and it's not right. I don't care what anybody says.
I don't know if that's exactly what the migrants are saying when they come here. Is it, that's just what the law currently says.
Well, I would argue the judge found that that law doesn't exist. There is no law for right to shelter. There is no constitutional right to say, if I show up in New York City has to put me up in a hotel. That's insane. And then that's what the judge ruled. In addition, what the judge said yesterday was this so-called disaster is not really a disaster. It was things that could have been done to alleviate this problem and this crisis, and none of those steps were taken. So on so many different levels, this judge in his ruling penetrated and abolished this whole concept. And I think, as I say, it's an opportunity to step back and say, we can't do it. If you, the three of us said, we're going to France tomorrow, and we're going to stay for 2 months, and we expect the French government to put us up for free, I think everybody would say, that's not going to work.
All right.
And that's what we're saying on the other hand.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, Mr. Fossella. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it.
All right.